It's now possible to skip your opponent's entire turn off of just one card, and it's actually consistent. This is crazy. What's good, YouTube? It's me, everybody. Squid back in there, Squid. So, as you guys have probably seen, there's some new retrains for the XYZ Dragon Cannon cards that Kaiba once used in the anime, coming out in one of these side sets, the Duelist packs in the OCG. To provide a bit of quick context, these guys are actually some Union Machine Light monsters that Kaiba used in the anime, comprising of 3 pieces: X Head Cannon, Y Dragon Head, and Z Metal Tank. And these guys can fuse together, well, basically like contact fuse together into a ginormous fusion monster, or into different fusion monsters with 2 parts. And it was really cool, but not really meta. But they did give some retrains in the form of the ABCs, and those were kind of meta relevant because you could contact fuse from the graveyard. And skip ahead a couple of years, ABCs fell out of the meta, and now we're getting some new retrains of the original X, Y, and Z, which is actually kind of exciting and kind of cool from a lore perspective. So for starters, the first card that we actually got is X Cross Cannon, and it's a retrain of X Head Cannon, who has the same stats and the same level, so on and so forth. It has a hard once per turn, thank goodness, that says if you control a light machine fusion monster or a union monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And better yet, during the main phase, you can equip one appropriate light machine union monster from your deck to this card, as if it were equipped by that monster's effect. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck, except light monsters for the rest of the turn. So these cards are basically a walking union hanger, because you can equip any appropriate union monster to him directly from your deck just by normal summoning him and activating the effect. And spoiler alert, this is actually the one card that allows us to FTK and skip our opponent's entire turn. Y Dragon Yearhead is a retrain of Y Dragon Head, and it says if this card is special summoned, you can equip a light level 4 machine monster from your hand or graveyard to it. Also locks you for light monsters to the extra deck for the rest of the turn. And then it has once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Target a machine monster you control, equip this card to it. And then as a union monster, it shares the old union effect where you can target a machine monster you control to equip this card to it and protect it from destruction, or special summon it if it is attached to a monster. Z Zillion Tank is a retrain of Z Metal Tank, and it says if it's special summoned, you can equip one of your banished level 4 light machine monsters to it, locks you out with the same restriction, and it has the same union effect that the other cards have. Then things get a little spicy with XZ's Hyper Dragon Cannon, which is a fusion retrain of XYZ Dragon Cannon, requiring the 3 retrains that we previously went over. It can be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above cards from your field and or graveyard, just like ABC Buster Dragon. And then once per opponent's turn, it has a quick effect where you can discard a card and target a card your opponent controls to destroy it. And then it has a modernized effect of the tag out effect that ABC Buster Dragon has, where you can actually banish the card from your field or graveyard and reveal one level 8 light machine fusion monster in your extra deck. Special summon up to 3 materials whose names are mentioned on it from your graveyard and or banishment. So you can actually tag this out to special summon out the other pieces like A, B, or C as well. And one thing to note is that this is actually an ignition effect that activates on your turn, unlike ABC that has to be on your opponent's turn, so now you can flood the board even further. Now you know that this card is actually not once per turn either, so you can basically spam your board over and over. If your opponent max sees you, you can basically like deck them out almost, because you keep like special summoning the guys over and over, making another XYZ Dragon Cannon, special summon them back. It's kind of funny like that. Then we actually have a fusion monster between enemy controller and X Head Cannon that's called Union Controller. This does not actually require enemy controller, but you need a light machine monster plus a Y Dragon Earhead or a Z Zillion Tank to use. And you obviously banish the above cards you control to special summon this out. So you can't use the graveyard, thank goodness, but you can still do it with monsters on the field. And it has a hard once per turn for the first effect that says if this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can add a spell or trap from your deck to your hand that mentions a union monster in the text. Then he has an effect that says once per turn, you can special summon a light, machine, normal, or a union monster from your hand. Lore-wise, this is kind of cool because in episode 129 of the anime, when Kaiba's dueling against Yugioh, he actually uses enemy controller to steal back his X Head Cannon after Yugioh takes control of it with Change of Heart. So this is kind of a callback to that moment in the anime. And last but not least is a spell card, Union Activation. It's a normal spell that says send one light machine, normal, or union monster from your hand or the deck to the graveyard. And if you do, add one light machine monster with the same attack but a different original name from your deck to your hand. And then the graveyard effect's really interesting. It says if you special summon 3 light machine monsters at the same time while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card, add one monster with 3,000 or more attack from your deck to your hand, then immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon that monster. So again, this is another callback to the same anime episode where Kaiba actually tributes the XYZ monsters, or attempts to, for the Obelisk the Tormentor, which is why it says an attack with 3,000 or more, because Obelisk, and also attributing 3 monsters. So really, really cool how it kind of ties that all in. So one glaring flaw that you realize with these cards that was definitely deliberate is that a lot of them are not actually once per turn. So Union Controller being able to special summon from hand, XYZ Dragon Cannon Retrain being not once per turn, and then Z Metal Tank as well as the Y Dragon Head Retrains are not once per turn, period. So as long as you keep summoning them out, you can attach something from your banished or your graveyard, special summon that out immediately, and so on and so forth, and flood your board with a bunch of monsters. So yeah, guys, I gotta give a huge shout out to the OCG Twitter users, Sonos, as well as Invasion for actually labbing these FDK combos. But check these out, they're actually really, really entertaining, and you can skip your opponent's turn off of one card, so why not? So yeah, to demonstrate this combo for you guys, all you really need is one X Cross Cannon, the retrain of X Head Cannon. We're gonna normal summon him. Upon summon, we can use the effect to equip an appropriate Union monster from the deck. So why not be Buster Drake? Because, you know, this card's not once per turn, and neither are the rest of these cards. So yeah, let's just go ahead and abuse this to the maximum potential. We're gonna summon out the Buster Drake. One thing to note is that previously cards like Union Hanger actually provided a restriction where you cannot special summon out the monster that you attach, but the new cards have no such restriction. We've gotten rid of that entirely, so now we can instantly special summon out whatever we attach as a Union. Then we can link off into Platinum Gadget. From here, B Buster Drake can trigger, adding a Y Dragon E head. Then from here, we're going to special summon it out using Platinum Gadget's effect. On trigger effect, we get to attach a monster from our graveyard. B Buster Drake can summon again, because not once per turn. We can now banish Platinum Gadget and the Y Dragon to go into our new level 6 fusion, the Union Controller. Really cool how this is enemy controller fused with X Cross Cannon. And obviously it bypasses the restriction of Platinum Gadget not being able to be link summoned away, so we just clear that zone automatically with this Contact Fusion-esque effect. Really nice. Now on the summon, we can add Union Hanger, and then from there we can use the Union Hanger to add a copy of Zillion Tank, and then we can special summon it out with Union Controller's second effect to special summon out a Light Machine monster. Zillion Tank will attach back that banished Y Dragon, and then we can link off Union Controller and B Buster Drake to go into Moon of the Closed Sky. Now, note that we're only locked into light monsters from our extra deck, so, you know, this just happens to be the entire Fiendsmith engine, so we can definitely abuse that in this combo. Buster Drake triggers adding a copy of a Assault Core. We can then special out Y's effect, and then we can also use Union Hanger to attach the Crush Wyvern. Y will bring back the Buster Drake. We can link off into our Fiendsmith stuff. Fiendsmith is really, really broken, guys. I'm going to be making another video on this stuff because it's very, very powerful. Requiem requires one Light Fiend monster. We contribute it to special out, summon out the Fiendsmith. We can bring out the Buster Drake by its effect because, again, no restrictions here. The only restriction right now is Union Hanger on the Wyvern, so we can't actually special summon that out. But we can link off into Sequentia, and then we can use Buster Drake to search again, add a copy of Tuner Torque Gear. This is just a generic level 1 tuner that happens to be a Union. Overlay these two for Starring Knight, who allows you to detach material to special summon a light monster from your hand. Will trigger Crush Wyvern because it's sent to the graveyard by game mechanics to summon out A. And then Starring Knight will summon out Torque Gear. Then we can use the effect of Sequentius to start fusing our 2 light fiends in the graveyard to go into our Fiendsmith Lacrimosa, who can revive a Fiendsmith monster. So that puts 2 level 6s on board, and you guys already know the drill. We're going to go into Beatrice, which is always abused in these FTK-like combos. I swear. Anyways, we're going to foolish a copy of Union Activation that has a graveyard effect where if you summon 3 Light Machine monsters at the same time, you can banish it to add a 3k monster. So yeah, kind of by adding Obelisk, we can do something similar here. And then we can link off to go into, again, Moon in the Closed Sky, just to get the Assault Core in the graveyard so we can add back the Y Dragon. Use the effect of Fiendsmith in the graveyard to resurrect itself by shuffling back Lacrimosa. Can link off, Synchro into Ancient Fairy Dragon, pop the Union Hanger, add a copy of Light Barrier. So this does require the Light Barrier to guarantee that we hit heads on the Arcana Force monster that we're going to add, which effectively skips your opponent's turn. So this is the entire enabler. Now we can special out Y Dragon with Ancient Fairy Dragon. Y Dragon can attach a B, and B can summon itself out. So it's really busted that you just keep looping these guys over and over. Then we can link off these 3, or 4 rather, into Nightmare Griffin just to get the bodies off the board. Trigger be Buster Drake, so Buster Drake adds another copy of himself because he can actually do that, which is really busted. Then we can banish these 3 to Contact Fuse from the grave to go into XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon, activate the Light Barrier. Hyper Dragon Cannon obviously should be in this zone, so it can activate, so it's not locked by Nightmare Griffin. Reveal ABC, so we can summon out the ABC pieces. And then we just have a full board again. We just redo this entire thing, but we're going to activate Union Activation now to add Arcana Force of the World. Tribute off our monsters, summon out the world, which has a effect that turns everything to heads thanks to Light Barrier. So in the end phase, we're actually going to be able to send 2 monsters to the graveyard and skip our opponent's next turn. So We're going to put that there so it can activate, obviously. We can banish these to summon out another ABC Buster Dragon. In phase, we send off the 2 monsters we don't need. Our opponent skips their turn. Next turn, we just attack for game because we have more than 8k on the battlefield. There's a bunch of different FTKs. This is a different example using some other cards. I've seen a bunch of different ones on the OCG Twitters, but obviously we don't have a lot of banned cards like Curious, so we can't do like half the stuff they can. That being said, though, this one's still possible in the TCG. So same kind of opening here. Equip Buster Drake off X Cross Cannon. Link off into Gadget, add Y, Dragon Head. Effective Platinum, summon out, equip Buster, and then we're going to contact Fuse. Buster goes to the grave, add a Union activation this time instead of Hanger, and also Zillion Tank off of B. Now we can use activation to send another Y Dragon, add another Zillion Tank effect to special summon out one of the Zillion Tanks, attach the Y Dragon. Y Dragon can then special summon itself out, attack the B back to its equipment zone, attach the B, and then we can go off to another Union Controller and then use B again. By the way, Union Controller is actually not once per turn either, so at least for the special summon effect, which is really, really busted. And then we can use the effect to bring out another Zillion Tank, just do the same loop we did, equip the Zillion Tank, and then go into Beatrice. Beatrice, dump a copy of Constellar Tellarknights, because we're actually doing the Constellar turn skip. Yeah, there's a couple of cards that actually skip your turn in the game for whatever reason, guys. And they've never really been achievable until this moment. But hey, you know, when you make stuff that's not once per turn, you just go nuts. So we summon out the second Zillion Tank, attach the Y Dragon, and then we can do that loop again. Y Dragon comes out, B gets attached, or rather another Y, I guess, because Y can come out and then B gets attached. Actually, Beatrice should be up here. Yep, there we go. So we have like 5 monsters off of 1 card, which is nuts. Then you can overlay all 5 of these to go into Constellar Tellarknight Catasus. I think that's how you pronounce it. Then when he's summoned, you can add back a Tellarknights card in your graveyard. So we add back Constellar Tellarknights. Then we can go off into Ptolemy M7 because we need the extra material. Constellar Tellarknights lets you exchange an onboard Constellar for a different Constellar XC, so we're going to go into Ptolemaeus. And this guy actually another effect where you can detach 7 materials from this card to skip your opponent's next turn. So you can just do that, detach exactly 7 materials, and then your opponent skips their turn. In their turn, we can dump the last copy of X Cross Cannon. So then on our turn, we just summon out 2 copies of the Fusion Monster because we have 6 materials. And then that's just game on board over 8k. So yeah, this is really, really busted, but I wanted to kind of show this to you guys because I thought it was really interesting. It's obviously very, very deliberate by Konami R&D because none of these cards are once per turn. But that being said, I don't think it's that relevant. I don't think it's going to be like actual meta contender. It seems very volatile because right now it's still very reliant on normal summoning the X Cross Cannon. So it's very, very easily disrupted. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this deck as a whole. Are you guys excited for our new XYZ ABC Overlords? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.